Parts of Gaza right now are officially experiencing what is being described as a, quote, man-made famine. That, according to a monitoring group backed by the United Nations, and it warns the situation will get worse as the conflict goes on. This news comes as a controversial U.S. and Israeli-backed aid group launches a new program aimed to help people in Gaza safely get the food they desperately need. My colleague Pamela Brown interviewed the spokesperson for that group. It's called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in this Situation Room special report.
An aid group supported by the United States is announcing a new program that allows families in Gaza to reserve aid packages before traveling to its distribution sites. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a private organization backed by the U.S. and Israel, hopes the new system will resolve the scenes of disorder and chaos we've seen at aid sites amid the humanitarian crisis in the enclave. Joining us now is Chapin, the spokesman for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Chapin, thank you for coming on. So the GHF just launched this new pilot program. Can you tell us more about what that entails?
We're very happy and pleased to announce this pilot program this week. Our humanitarian staff works alongside local Palestinian workers from Gaza on our sites. They communicate with the crowd, they take feedback, they ensure we're adhering to humanitarian principles and getting the aid seekers what they need. Sometimes the younger, faster men can get there first and get aid first, and sometimes women, children, and families can get left behind. So this was an innovation to prevent that. Working through a local Palestinian worker, people can sign up and give us their information, and we give them an ID card, we take their picture, and we use that information only for the purposes of them reserving aid.
The Gaza Ministry of the Interior, as you know, is warning Gazans against providing their personal data and information to GHF as part of this new program, saying that it could be used against them for security and intelligence purposes. How are you ensuring that you're protecting their information?
Well, so some of these ministries in Gaza are Hamas ministries, and they're waging an active disinformation campaign. And this is up against the background of Hamas, trying to cause disinformation and cause chaos at the sites. So I would urge some skepticism on a lot of the information coming out of Gaza. Our humanitarian workers work alongside local Palestinian workers on our sites, and they interact with the crowd. And we do have a great trust with the people that come. They rely on the food and the aid that we're distributing. We also have an international NGO, Samaritan's Purse. This is solely to ensure that the right people get the aid when they show up. And we do not share the information, and it's highly secured and encrypted with multiple layers of security.
Is there a vetting system in place to ensure Hamas fighters can't access aid through this new program and at the 4 current GHF sites?
So certainly Hamas is an ongoing threat. The IDF is conducting daily operations against them. Our sites are safe and secure. We've only had 2 incidents of violence months ago that were Hamas fomented and injured 2 American aid workers, and there was 1 instance of unfortunately tragic incidents when Hamas fomented a stampede. But our sites are safe, and we ensure that the aid gets into the people who need it the most. One way we do that is the reservation system that we're talking about. Another way that we do that is we have separate women's distributions, totally separate, so to ensure that they're getting aid and they can feed their families. We also have women's distributions immediately after the main distribution. Once the crowds are dispersed, many women stay behind. We had a record day this past weekend, and now we're consistently hitting feeding over 3,300 women, specifically and separately, as part of our distributions.
You bring up that tragic incident where 20 people died in that crowd crush at an aid distribution site run by GHF. You said that this was driven by Hamas. The Palestinian Health Ministry said it was due to chaos from tear gas fired at a crowd of people waiting for aid. And I want to give you an opportunity to address that.
Well, again, that's Hamas saying that, the Gaza Ministry of Health. We do not have tear gas on our sites. We use only non-lethal methods of crowd control. Our security personnel are very highly trained, very highly skilled U.S. veterans, and more importantly, very highly intelligent. They are not there because they know how to pull a trigger. They are there because they know how not to.
I want to follow up with you. First of all, I just need to note that the Gaza Ministry of Health, for its part, says that it is not an extension of Hamas. And it is true, we did check the United Nations' own tracker before this interview. A vast majority of their trucks are looted or don't make it to their intended destinations in Gaza. Now, they say that it's a scarcity issue. I know JHF wants to work with the UN. What have those discussions been like?
Our executive chairman had some meetings a week or two ago in the United States with UN personnel. We have seen some ratcheting down of the rhetoric against GHF coming out of those meetings, which is a positive development. The point of all of this is to feed more people in Gaza. And I would argue that anyone trying to shut down GHF or criticizing the way that we're doing this is arguing for less aid. And I would meet that with extreme skepticism. There's nothing humanitarian about playing politics with this desperately needed aid. We're going to continue focusing on our mission, which has been successful, to feed people to the tune of 130 million meals in less than 3 months. And we push the government of Israel and the IDF every single day to let us expand and to keep going.
The UN, for its part, says that the system it had in place before the blockade with more than 100 aid sites, that worked. Now there's a scarcity issue, which is why these attacks are happening. And now more than 200 NGOs say that they want GHF to be dismantled. If your system is so effective, if it is working, as you say, why do you think all these NGOs want you gone?
Well, you don't have to take my word for it. Just last week, more than 200 other NGOs from more than 15 countries issued a public letter in support of us, urging that the United Nations work with us and collaborate to feed more people. So you'd have to ask the others what their agenda is. Our model is to feed people without any diversion, and we've been successful at that. The UN has, the legacy system was a failure. That's the main reason we are in operation. And we're going to continue doing it.
Let me just follow up with you quickly, because there was an internal analysis conducted by USAID that showed, according to this U.S. government report, that there was no widespread theft by Hamas. They looked into 150 incidents of waste, fraud, and abuse, and that's what the finding was. It was by USAID.
You can see for yourself all over social media for the past couple of weeks of Hamas and armed masked men parading the UN convoys around Gaza. One of the main reasons we are able to now do the reservation distribution system is because the food insecurity is lessening with all the aid being pumped in now. Market prices are coming down. The chaos and of the crowds has been coming down at our sites. We have a model that is working when you compare it to the others. And again, we can solve this problem together. If all of these other NGOs and the United Nations spent as much time working with us on how to feed Gazans and less time on their PR smear campaign, imagine how many people we could feed.
Right. And just to note, we did reach out to the UN before the interview. They said it has no intention to undermine any operation that brings more desperately needed aid into Gaza. What we have emphasized is that aid should be delivered according to humanitarian principles. We conveyed this message directly during a constructive meeting that we had talked about earlier in the interview. I also just want you to get your response to the deaths that the UN says has happened of Palestinians on their way to a GHF site or leaving. The UN contends that Gazans have two choices: to either starve or die getting to a GHF site. What is your reaction to that, and where do you place the responsibility?
Well, that's some of the rhetoric I mentioned earlier that just makes it more dangerous for aid seekers and causing confusion. And those are also some Hamas talking points that they are repeating.
But there have been people who
I'm not here to tell you
have
that there
died.
are no casualties. Yeah, so I'm not here to deny that there are casualties in this war that Israel's waging against Hamas. A lot of those deaths are unconfirmed. The IDF has difficulty confirming them because the Gaza Ministry of Health, for example, doesn't distinguish between combatants and civilians. The other thing I would point out is that if you look at the UN's own statistics and reporting coming out, there are many casualties up north at their aid convoys. As I said, this is an active war zone and it is dangerous. And Gaza is also very small. It's one of the most densely populated places on planet Earth. And everything can be a few kilometers from one of our sites in Gaza. So what I would tell you is to meet some of these statistics with extreme skepticism. But I will also say that we push the IDF and the government of Israel to deconflict, to make the rest of Gaza safe and secure and create more humanitarian corridors. But our sites are safe and secure. It's up to the IDF to make the rest of Gaza safe and secure. We are also very hopeful that we can collaborate with the United Nations. Again, imagine how many people we could feed if we all work together to come up with solutions to this complex humanitarian crisis together and feed people.
Chapin Faye, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
The sites were designed to lure, bait, aid, and kill. The food that we distribute, nowhere near enough. To Mr. Johnny Moore, shame on you for celebrating 92 million meals delivered into Gaza. Shame on you. It's a very simple equation. 92 divided by 2.2 million people, divided by 3 million or 3 meals a day. That's what GHF proclaims. We've been distributing aid since the 26th of May. 26th May to now the 29th of June. 64 days of continuous distribution. And we've only managed to distribute 92 million meals. When you break that down, again, it's a simple equation. That's 14 days of meals. So out of 64 days, we've provided 14 days of meals to the entire population in the enclave of Gaza. That's inhumane. That would be like saying that you only eat every fourth day. You only eat on Thursday and you only eat on Monday. And to say that that's humanitarian? So to anyone that says that that's enough or not even close to enough, the narrative of GHF needs help to do the rest, you don't need help because you're not anywhere close to where we need to be. The fact is the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is not trained, equipped, manned, or staffed to run humanitarian aid and humanitarian assistance of this magnitude. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation needs to be defunded, shut down, and the United Nations needs to be allowed back in full scale, supported by the United States, resourced, helped. Instead of giving the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation $60 million, use that $60 million to support the United Nations mechanism to get 400 sites back to operating, to feed 2.1 million people every day. That was the capacity of the United Nations. So what I saw in Gaza, to me, concerns me as an American. What we are doing in Gaza, in being complicit with what the Israeli Defense Forces are doing, is un-American.